Here we have one more type of budgeting process, or you can say that is the method of budgeting, or one more approach of budgeting, or a type of budget you can say. So, and this is known as zero based budgeting. Zero here stand for, that means when we are preparing the budget for a particular period, we are starting from the scratch. That is the meaning of zero here, right? So every time when you are carrying out the budgeting process, we will be starting from the very basic, from the scratch, and considering all those things afresh. That is the meaning of it. See, as the name suggests, zero based budgeting is an approach. This is an approach, a technique, a method to plan and prepare a budget, right? You are making a budget, this is a budget from the scratch. When you're preparing the budget from the scratch, so that kind of approach, that or that kind of method or technique that you follow is known as zero based budgeting, right? It starts from the zero rather than traditional budget that is based on the previous budget. So normally the budgets that we discussed, what you do is you take the previous budget as a reference budget, and then based upon that basically you prepare the budget for the next period. But here you just ignore that particular previous budget and start all the activities of like spending and revenue generation from the very start, and you discuss everything, or rather you analyze everything in detail from the very scratch. With this budgeting approach, you need to justify. Now this is important. That means what you consider when you're considering the things from the scratch, then every time you need to justify each and every expense before adding it to the actual budget. That means for each and every activity you will analyze all the expenses, all the costs, and after analyzing only you will make it part of that particular budget, right? Primary objective of zero based budgeting is the what, by doing this what will happen, there will be reduction in the unnecessary costs by looking at where costs can be cut. So basically when you will perform that kind of activity, when you will analyze all the activities in detail, then obviously you will be able to reduce that unnecessary cost involved on those activities, and therefore your budget will be more realistic. That is meaning of it. Before including any activity in the budget, the following questions should be answered. You will raise these questions. Okay, should the activity be undertaken or not? You can take any department. Activity means that, let's say if you are preparing the budget for sales department, or maybe you are preparing the budget for the production department, right? So for in this department, if you are having multiple activities, right? So for all those activities you are raising these questions which have been mentioned here. Similarly for this, let us say you are having this department for which you have to prepare a different budget. So this department is also going to have the different activities, and you are going to raise all these questions for all these activities here also. So that way for each department for which you are preparing the budget, you are going to raise the question for all the activities involved. So shall you go forward with that activity or not? How that activity would be performed, right? What are the ways by which you are going to perform that activity, and how much would be the cost? Obviously when you look for the like looking out for the how that activity will be performed, then obviously you will look for the alternatives also, that what are the best ways to perform that activity, and how much will be the cost of those alternatives. For example, how you said that these are the ways by which you can perform that particular activity, and which one of these is the one of the best cost effective alternative, right, to perform that particular activity. So when you will discuss these points or you will raise these questions, then obviously your budgeting process is going to be very effective, right, or realistic. Overall process, let's see, it's on the similar lines as we discussed for the questions, that the way we are going to raise the questions. The general process that you are going to follow or pursue to frame a zero based budgeting is this. First of all, what you will do, you will determine the activities to perform in the budgeted period. कि उस period में कौन-कौन सी activities आपने perform करनी है, and the responsibility of the managers regarding those activities. In any case, you have to fix the responsibility. When you are preparing the budget, if you want that budget to be effective, you have to identify the key persons who are going to implement that budget that we have already discussed. Requesting the concerned managers to find all the alternatives to perform the activities. This is the same thing as I discussed over here. What are the different alternatives that you're going to have, right? And ranking those alternatives according to priority. Okay, this is the best alternative, second best alternative, third best alternative. That way you're going to rank them and find the funds required to carry out. Once you have selected that particular objective, then you're going to, let's say you have said that you are going to select this one is the best one alternative that you think as well, even though, or okay, this one is the best alternative as per you. So let us say if you have decided to go for this, then you have to also look for the what are the areas from where sources of funds from where I should get the funds in order to perform those activities. That also you have to analyze. That is the meaning of budgeting only. So budgeting, in budgeting you will definitely consider the finance part, that is the how that money is going to, from where that money is going to come and how much money is required to perform that particular activity, right? So these are the some of the general process that you are going to follow in case of zero based budgeting. That means you're starting every time you are going to prepare the budget, you're starting afresh and questioning everything all in detail, and then finally reaching to the conclusion, and therefore the unnecessary costs that those could be avoided. Let's see the advantages. What could be the advantages? More or less it will be on the similar line as I discussed. Facilitates the better utilization of the resources as it is prepared by calculating the various needs. Obviously that because you have analyzed each and every activity in detail, and therefore that you can effectively utilize the resources, right? That means it will not be like wastage of the resources. That is the meaning of this. Helps in finding the best alternative perform an activity that is both cost efficient and profitable. तो आपने किया best alternative find किया, so basically क्या होगा, that will be cost effective or overall profit will be cost effective होगा. If it is cost effective, that means you have reduced the cost in case it is directly then contributing to the profit also indirectly. Make it easier to detect the excess funds allocated to different activities. So for example, if you analyze the each and every activity in detail, then obviously if there earlier you had allocated more funds, then you will be able to identify those funds, and therefore this time you can reduce those funds which are may not be required to perform that particular activity. That's the meaning of this. So making it more cost efficient. Minimizes the wastage, right? It is on the similar lines. And replacing the obsolete activities. Obsolete activities का मतलब है the activities which may not be required to perform that activity, right? So even though you may be already carrying out those activities as a ritual, but now you think that okay, you analyze it in detail, even if that activity is removed, then there will be no effect. It is not going to have any impact on that particular overall production, productivity or cost, etc. So those activities can be removed. What could be the disadvantage? Now since you're going in detail for each and every activity, obviously time consuming and also kind of little costly affair it is going to be, right? Consumes a lot of time for various activities, and their alternatives are to be analyzed, right? So obviously when you will analyze in detail, your time will be consumed and maybe more manpower may be required, right, to analyze those things in detail. Conveys very complex information that may not be understood by each person at different levels of management, right? So because you are gathering so much detail for different activities and then putting that information in that budget sheet, so okay, those who have a good amount of experience, you can say, those person can analyze that information properly, and like those who are not having that much experience or those who are new one, you can say, they may not be in position to understand that particular information because you had a lot of information related to different activities. So these are some of the disadvantages that you can say in case of zero budgeting. So I think as we have been discussing the different types of budgets, and from the very start I am explaining you the meaning from the word itself. So I think you should remember that what is that budget type, or what is that particular approach of the budget from the name itself, right, as I discussed in zero based budgeting also. Let's now see one more kind of budget, that is what we call it as a just a minute, called as a rolling budget. Okay, again, rolling here stands for it rolls. It rolls means it is continuous from one point of time to next time, this way it rolls, right? you are having a budget, then it rolls to next, it goes to next, it goes to next, it goes to next, that way. So that is why we are saying it is a rolling budget. Rolling budget, so this is another technique or method approach of budgeting process, right? How you are going to prepare the budget. So this is one more method that you can adopt to prepare the budget depending upon the organizations. Then companies, they feel that this will be the best for them. Rolling simply means continuous. The rolling budget is known as continuous budget as it never ends. It never ends means this process continues, right? It rolls forward by quarter or a month, right? So first let me just see this line, then you will understand this. The management keeps on incorporating changes in the same budget as the organization needs. So for example, you have prepared the budget for next month. Let's say April, you have prepared the budget. Now, what you will do for the period of May, as the month goes by, you will roll this, you will make the changes in this budget for the next period, because you have some more inputs during this period, and accordingly, as you have the inputs to those changed condition, you are going to change it for the next month. Same way, now you are going to have June, so same way some changes, you have this budget prepared for this month. When you started implementing for month of May, again you are having many inputs from outside external environment, right? So those, based upon those changes, those inputs, you are going to change this budget again for the next period for June. So that means it is rolling from one period to another period. That is the meaning of it. Okay, so that is the meaning of it. The rolling budget has a dynamic approach, keeps on changing. Instead of static budget of 12 months, it rolls forward by quarter or a month, right? In case of static budget, we know for 12 months you prepared. So it's what we are doing is, as the changes comes, कोई जरूरी नहीं है, it is not necessarily only 1 month only, but okay, we are taking the bare minimum period of 1 month. So in between also, if some changes comes, let's say if you say that in 15 days some significant changes come, then obviously that particular organization will decide to make the changes in that budget. That is the meaning of rolling budget. Is the extension of the existing budget. You are having the budget for April, इसी को extend किया आपने, change किया for next period, hence it requires more effort. More effort का मतलब है, the person, think of a person, let's say he's a CA, chartered accountant, who has, or maybe his team, who is involved preparing that budget. So now what happened is, again the whole of that activity has to be carried out because changes have taken place. So this fellow and his team is fully involved in making those changes. So that way it requires a lot of effort to update and implement compared to the static budget, right? Time and effort in preparation. Okay, in simple words, a kind of budget in which there is always scope of amendments at any period of time, right? किसी भी time पे आप changes कर सकते हो, right? Okay, 15 days में ही, within the 15 days some significant changes came, and let us say your managing director of your company or boss or director, okay, gives order to CA, ask the CA or ask the CA to make those changes and prepare the budget again. That is how it goes. The rolling budget is prepared for a very short period of time. So right, so why short period of time? Because changes, as the changes takes place, those changes are accommodated. So that way it is going to be beneficial also, and particularly it is suitable for those industries which are facing swift changes and require forecasting for a short interval time. So बहुत in their product structure, on the sales, in their production, or whatever the activities they perform, उसमें जो है वो the changes are taking place very frequently. In those, for those organization, rolling budget is quite suitable. So that is the meaning of rolling budget. Okay, let us now see one example of this particular rolling budget, and it has been displayed over here for a particular company, right? So let us say it's a Walmart, and let us say for 2000 a year, this rolling budget has been shown. And the rolling budget, as we discussed, it may be prepared for month by month or for a quarter by quarter, that way, shorter period of time, and it keep on changing with the passage of time. In this rolling budget, below points have been considered in preparation of budget. कुछ एक assumptions नहीं है, just to understand that how this budget has been prepared. First is that assumed values and volume growth rate is 10% each quarter. हर एक quarter में see हम, for example, if you just see over here, ये particulars दिए हैं, these are the particulars given, and here you are having the quarter one के लिए initially at the very beginning you prepared for the first quarter, this is the budget plan, right? This is the money from where that money is going to come and where that money is going to go. And for second quarter this is the plan, third quarter, fourth quarter. So for each quarter you prepared a budget with the assumptions, certain assumptions. For example, the volume that you expect at that particular this quarter is 100,000. That is, आपके जो units sell होंगे, they will be 1 lakh in the first quarter. Same way, it has been assumed that in the every quarter there has been increase of 10%. That is what he is saying, that 10% increase has been. So here when you take the 10% of this, it is going to be this. Then in the next quarter again it is assumed that there will be increase in volume of 10%. So then 10% if you add, this will become this, and again 10% increase, this will become this. So one is that first assumption is that you are having that volume growth is 10%. At the same time, sales and revenue in terms of rupees or in terms of dollars, that is also कि कितनी सेल हुई. सेल तो ये वॉल्यूम के टर्म में हुई, in terms of quantity हुई. What about in terms of money? That also it is assumed that it is also 10%. So if it was 5,000, by selling 1 lakh units, if you just got the money $500, or sorry $5,000, which is income, or जिसको आप revenue बोल सकते हो, you can call it as a sales also. So then again it is increasing by 10% in the next quarter, same as the volume, it is increasing 10%, and it is increasing 10% in each quarter. So this is your assumption that this is how the things are going to take place, and therefore this is going to be the cost associated with it, or income that is going to get by selling this product. And in case of direct material and direct labor, variable costs are directly related to the production of finished goods. As you know, जो labor cost हैं and material cost हैं, they are directly related. Variable cost part है, they are directly related to the, as the volume will increase, this will also increase. So here in this example, this has increase has been taken. So यहाँ तो हमने 10% ही increase assume की. Here, depending upon the situation, if you will calculate over here, then this will be roughly about 8% increase. So this will increase by 8%, and here you will go as further again 8%, 8%, right? So this initial assumption was only for these two, and he is saying that direct material and labor costs जो है वो भी क्या करती है, increase करती है as the production volume increases, and that increase may be different. So let us say if you see in this example it is 8% increasing by 8%. So we are not bothered. अगर आपको दिया है उसने तो you can take that value, but just for the sake of explanation we have taken. अगर आप यहाँ देखोगे it is increased by 10%. Direct labor जो है cost जो है क्या हो रही है, 10% से increase हो रही है. Same way variable overhead, other expenses, this is also variable, you know. This is also variable, but variable other than these two direct, right? So other variable overhead was $500 over here. In this also increase is taking place by 10%. This is the situation. So initially for the quarter one you had this situation, these value you were having. Based upon that you are having like fixed cost also. This is going to remain for the whole year same, but fixed cost was this. So this was the budget for first quarter, right? ये आपका first quarter के लिए budget बन गया है, and this is expected, right? That this is the money you are going to get after selling this much, and this is the cost part that is involved, right? And what is the profit? If you will remove this part, this sales में से cost part को remove कर दोगे, वो क्या हो गया, आपका profit हो गया. So this is the profit that you are expecting in the quarter one. Same situation, because this value got changed, all these values got changed, only fixed cost was remaining same. So that means for the quarter two this was the budget, and if this was the budget, then obviously sales, you know, this is going to be the sales in rupees term, this is going to be the what, expenditure part, and therefore sales minus expenditure part, you can say this is the profit that you are expecting. Same way it happens for the other quarters also, right? So this, when you prepare this kind of budget, तो इसको हमने नाम दे दिया, but we call it as a rolling budget. That is rolling from quarter 1 to quarter 2, to quarter 3 to quarter 4, right? And also in between also there are scope for changes. For example, what you saw is, we will see in the next few slides. For example, this is the budget for first quarter, and later on at the end of the first quarter you realized that what were these expected figures that you were expecting, they are not as per your plan, or maybe that profit that you were supposed to get, you are not able to achieve that profit, or cost part has increased, or sales part has, cost part has not increased but sales part has decreased, something that way. So if there is any variation from actual, so this is the projected, this is expected. Budget is expected only, right? So this is expected, and at the end of the quarter one when you check the actual values, they may be different. So आप क्या करोगे, actual value जो आएगी for quarter one उसका comparison कर सकते हो फिर this particular expected value, and if there is any deviation then based upon the actual and this you can modify these the values, and therefore you can modify the budget for the next period quarter टू. दैट मीन्स एक तो आपने बजट क्वार्टर टू, क्वार्टर थ्री के लिए, क्वार्टर फोर के लिए एट द स्टार्ट ऑफ दैट ईयर शुरू में ही प्रिपेयर कर लिया. then you have a scope that based upon the result of each quarter, first quarter का result आया actual, and you saw the difference between this projected था, and this is actual, and based upon that you can also make the improvement for the quarter two. You can also make the quarter three, quarter four के लिए भी कर सकते हो, right? and then ये फिगर मॉडिफाई हो जाएंगे, ये भी हो गए, लेटर से ये भी हो गए. नाउ at the end of the quarter two again you're going to see this is the projected modified जो projected था, and then actual compare करो, changes need to be done, then आपके करो next quarter में करो, that way it goes. So that is how basically we say that this budget, rolling budget rolls, right? So obviously effort बढ़ जाएगा when you are evaluating the things monthly basis पे. just imagine if this is the monthly basis पे चीज होगी तो आपको और ज़्यादा effort करना पड़ेगा, right? Now here to analyze this budget we are having a term called as variance and variance analysis. Very simple term as the name suggests. मैंने even though I explained you here concept मैंने explain कर दिया, but you didn't get this because I didn't introduce the term variance. But anyhow variance मतलब vary करना, change, difference, as simple as that, right? Variance कब आया, vary कब करेगा, when there is a difference, right? Now see the meaning of variance in budgeting, in the process of budget preparation or management accounting in general. Variance is the difference, किसके बीच है difference between budgeted, planned and standard cost and the actual amount incurred or sold. ठीक है, see यहाँ देखो, ये जो मैंने explain किया आपको, क्या explain किया, this was the budgeted, this was the budget for each part, right? Expenditure, this total was a budget, but you said this was the sales, this was the revenue or sales, and this was expenditure. So this was the budgeted figure. What was the actual we got at the end? The difference between this actual and what this budgeted, जो difference आएगा, we call it as a variance. Vary कर रहा है, क्या vary कर रहा है? That difference आ रहा है कि जो मैंने प्लान किया था and actual जो चीज निकल के आ रही है उसमें जो difference है वो variance है, as simple as that. So when we will analyze the difference for cost wise, for different costs and all those, then we will call it as a variance analysis, right? Just see this. So it is the difference between the budgeted, उसको budgeted बोल लो या planned बोल लो या standard cost, and the actual, important is actual amount incurred or sold, right? Sold का मतलब है कि sales, incurred जो आपका actual आया, actual हुआ, right? Variance can be computed for both cost and revenue. Obviously, variance is simply the difference. किसके बीच? जो budget plan किया आपने, जो plan किया है, and the जो actual thing आए. तो वो that could be cost also, variable cost है, let us say. तो variable cost आपने plan कुछ और की, you plan this much. Let us say direct material cost you plan this much, but actual निकल के कुछ और आई. Direct labor cost you plan this much, actual जो है वो something different आई. Something that way. Sales plan आपने की थी इतनी $5,000 की sale होगी, but actual sales क्या हुई? Different हुई, maybe more or maybe less. That is the meaning of this. So both ये variance क्या है? Simply difference could be for both cost के लिए भी हो सकता है, revenue के लिए भी हो सकता है. ठीक है. अब दो टर्म आपको पता होनी चाहिए यहाँ पर जो यूज करेंगे वेरिएंस के कॉन्टेक्स्ट में, कॉल्ड एज फेवरेबल वेरिएंस, एंड आपसे डायरेक्टली पूछा जा सकता है व्हाट इज द फेवरेबल वेरिएंस एंड व्हाट इज द एडवर्स वेरिएंस, राइट? सी इफ द एक्चुअल रिजल्ट्स आर बेटर देन द एक्सपेक्टेड रिजल्ट्स, राइट? लेट अस से फॉर एग्जांपल सेल्स है, तो एक्चुअल सेल्स क्या हुई? एक्चुअल सेल्स ग्रेटर देन आएगी लेट अस से budgeted or expected, right? So when the actual result, let us say actual sales किससे ज्यादा आई? जो आपने प्लान की थी, तो क्या है आपका? This is favorable variance. So when the actual values are, whether this is for the cost or whether it is for the sales, if the actual values are greater than the budgeted values, then the difference or the variance that will come will be called as a favorable variance. एंड इसको हम डिनोट करेंगे कैपिटल लेटर, ये ध्यान रहे, जस्ट कीप इट इन माइंड दैट वी विल डिनोट इट विद कैपिटल लेटर, और उसको पैरेंथेसिस में हम ऐसे रखते हैं, ऐसे एफ ब्रैकेट में, राइट। अनफेवरेबल क्या हो जाएगी, इफ द बजटेड वैल्यू क्या हो जाएगी, दिस एक्चुअल वैल्यू विल बी लेस देन बजटेड। प्लान आपने जो एक्चुअल जो आई वो क्या आई, whether it is of sales or the other costs, if they are less than the budgeted values, then we will call it as a adverse, right? When the actual results are worse than the expected मतलब budgeted results, the given variance will be described as what? Adverse variance, right? And how it is going to be denoted, sometimes we denote it by capital letter U or capital letter A, और उसको ब्रैकेट में डाल देंगे हम, we will put it in parenthesis, then it is going to give you the, we will say this is the adverse. So simply you need to remember the term favorable variance क्या होती है and adverse variance क्या होती है, right? And how we have calculated. Now based upon this, obviously जब आपके पास फेवरेबल वेरिएंस आएगी या एडवर्स वेरिएंस आएगी, तो उसके बेसिस पे हम क्या कर सकेंगे, एनालिसिस कर सकेंगे। एंड ऑब्वियसली वी कैन टेक द स्टेप्स कि अगर कोई कॉस्ट बढ़ जाती है तो कॉस्ट बढ़ गई, इसका मतलब डिफरेंस बढ़ गया, तो उसको क्या कर सकते हैं, व्हाट वी कैन डू, वी कैन टेक द स्टेप्स इन ऑर्डर टू, इन द नेक्स्ट बजट वी कैन टेक द स्टेप्स टू मिनिमाइज दैट पर्टिकुलर वेरिएंस, और राइट। तो वेरिएंस एनालिसिस क्या करेगा, ये जो डिफरेंस है डिफरेंट कॉस्ट में और जिस सेल्स में एटसेट्रा, that will help the management to understand the present cost and then to control the future में आप उन different costs को क्या कर सकते हो, you can control those costs because you have been able to identify that, so that is, it is going to help that way, right? And therefore that analysis will be called as variance analysis. एक just example I have taken over here where you can have like जैसे हमने ये बात की थी, like we discussed over here, you are having a budget, so we have taken a budget of first quarter only, right, the same. So as I had told you over here also, that for example what we do at the end of the quarter one, we will see the actual results, right? And the difference between the budget of quarter one and the actual of quarter one will be the, for different values there will be variance, right? So we can tell, or accordingly we can make changes for the quarter two, right? Now let's see for the quarter one. Let us say the actual results for the quarter one have been released, that which will be at the end of the quarter one or at the top of the quarter one, sorry quarter two. So below variance analysis, ये एनालिसिस है, क्या है देखो, लेट्स सी, ये फिगर्स हैं आपके पास, ये बजट था क्वार्टर वन का, दिस वाज द बजट फॉर क्वार्टर वन, राइट, दैट वी हैव ऑलरेडी, दीज आर द वैल्यूज। एक्चुअल रिजल्ट आया ये, दिस इज द एक्चुअल रिजल्ट फॉर क्वार्टर वन, राइट, these are the value. If you see there are changes in these values, so those have been tabulated. For example ये वैल्यू बढ़ी, that is वॉल्यूम बढ़ा तो सेल्स भी बढ़ी, सेल्स बढ़ी, आप सी द डायरेक्ट कॉस्ट, डायरेक्ट मटेरियल कॉस्ट भी बढ़ी है, आपकी लेबर कॉस्ट भी बढ़ी है, एंड बिकॉज दे आर व्हाट, ऑब्वियसली डायरेक्ट लेबर एंड वेरिएबल कॉस्ट जो है वॉल्यूम बढ़ेगा तो ऑब्वियसली दे आर गोइंग टू इंक्रीज, एज यू नो क्या होगा, वॉल्यूम बढ़ेगा तो ऑब्वियसली क्या है, दे आर डायरेक्टली रिलेटेड टू दैट पर्टिकुलर वॉल्यूम क्वांटिटी, एंड फिक्स ओवरहेड ऑब्वियसली दैट इज गोइंग टू रिमेन सेम, वो तो इंक्रीज होगा नहीं। दिस इज द चेंज इन द दिस कॉस्ट एंड रेवेन्यूज दैट हैव टेकन प्लेस एक्चुअली, जो एक्चुअल रिजल्ट आया। वेरियंस क्या आ जाएगा, एज यू नो वेरियंस क्या आएगा, वेरियंस तो सिंपली क्या है, एक्चुअल माइनस बजट, तो दिस माइनस दिस, ये आपका, अगर वॉल्यूम के टर्म में बात करें व्हाट इज द वेरियंस, आप बोलोगे इतनी है, दिस माइनस दिस। इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द वेरियंस फॉर द सेल्स में वेरियंस कितनी है, आप बोलोगे दिस एक्चुअल माइनस दिस। डायरेक्ट मटेरियल में कितनी वेरियंस आई, इतनी, दिस दिस, तो दीज आर द वेरियंसेस व्हिच आर गिवन टू यू, एंड एट द एंड प्रॉफिट मार्जिन के लिए भी वेरियंस दी है। नाउ ये तो हो गया कि वेरियंस सिंपल टर्म में वी सी, बट एक्चुअल फिगर्स को हम एनालाइज करते हैं, हाउ दैट हैज टेकन प्लेस इन दिस एनालिसिस। I will just read out these statements and then explain you accordingly. Volume and value have achieved 105% of the budget. इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि आपका वॉल्यूम भी जो है वो क्या हुआ है, 5% इंक्रीज हुई है, राइट, 5% ऑफ 1 लाख इज 5000, दैट इज इट हैज इंक्रीज बाय 5%, तो वॉल्यूम ग्रोथ हैज बीन 5%, एक्चुअल में ये आया, राइट, 105% ऑफ द बजट, मीनिंग सेम 1.05, तो इंक्रीज हुआ 5% से। व्हाट अबाउट द सेल्स रेवेन्यू, सेल्स रेवेन्यू इफ यू सी, सेल्स रेवेन्यू अगेन हैज इंक्रीज बाय द सेम अमाउंट, राइट, सेल्स रेवेन्यू को भी अगर आप देखोगे तो उसके प्रोपोर्शन में ही आपका वट एवर वैल्यू विल टेक, इट हैज दिस हैज ऑल्सो इंक्रीज प्रोपोर्शनेटली। नाउ if you see the direct material costs, right, so दैट मीन्स इट इज ऑन द एक्सपेक्टेड लाइंस एज यू कैन जस्ट सी। जब यूनिट्स आपके यहाँ पर 10,000 इंक्रीज हुए तो ये 500 से इंक्रीज हुआ, राइट। दैट मीन्स दिस हैज इंक्रीज 10%। देन ऑब्वियसली दिस 5,000 टू 5,500, तो 500 से इंक्रीज हुआ था यहाँ पर, राइट। अब क्या है, जब यूनिट्स 1 लाख से लेके 1 लाख नॉट 10,000 बट 1 लाख 5,000 हुए, तो ऑब्वियसली दिस पार्ट हैज इंक्रीज बाय 2,500 और 250 का हाफ, तो almost on the same proportion you have got this particular value. What about the direct material? अब डायरेक्ट मटेरियल का कंपैरिजन जो है सिंपली क्या है, हम कैसे करेंगे, सी डायरेक्ट मटेरियल कॉस्ट विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द सेल्स के कंपैरिजन में करेंगे हम कि ये दिस वाज व्हाट परसेंट ऑफ दिस सेल्स का कितना परसेंट था, राइट। सो सेम वे वी विल से फॉर दिस डायरेक्ट लेबर, देयर डायरेक्ट लेबर वाज व्हाट परसेंट ऑफ दिस, राइट। So same way, what was the variable overhead of this? Let's see. Direct material and direct labor costs have changed according to the cost of the goods. इसका मतलब ये हुआ कि if you just see 1500 divided by 5000 will be same as 1560 divided by 5250. That means जो direct material cost जो यहाँ थी वो क्या है, that is on the same proportion. जितना proportion ये था 1500 divided by this, next actual में जो निकल के आया वो भी क्या है, this divided by this will be same. You can just calculate it, these values are going to be same. What about the labor? And I think labor के लिए भी same situation, direct material and labor costs have changed according to the cost. Now same way, if you divide 800 divided by 1500, 5000 with respect to the sales, 880 divided by 5000, 250. The whatever the value that you're going to get in percentage terms, whatever this proportion will be same as 880 divided by this. So this value and this, इसका मतलब ये हुआ direct material and direct labor are have the same proportion as it was in the budgeted. जो budget में proportion आपने रखा था उसी proportion में increase हुए हैं, right? What about the variable overhead is increased by 1. अब ना variable overhead की बात करते हैं. If you will see, if we see the variable overhead over here, that is 500, this was variable overhead, 500 divided by 5000, right, that will be 10%. But when you will see 600 divided by 5000, this 5250, it is going to be 11.43%, right. So the difference क्या आया, 1.43% का. इसका मतलब ये हुआ, what the meaning of this is that variable overhead has increased not in the same proportion. जैसे यहाँ पर था बजट में प्लान किया था उस प्रोपोर्शन में इंक्रीज नहीं हुआ, rather variable overhead has increased than what you had expected or planned. Actual fixed overhead was same in budget, ये सेम ही है, फिक्स ओवरहेड तो आपका सेम ही रहेगा चाहे यहाँ पर है यहाँ पर है, राइट. सी द प्रॉफिट वाज ओवर हियर, दिस एक्चुअल प्रॉफिट आपका ये आया. सो प्रॉफिट का अगर आप वेरिएंस लेना चाहो तो यू कैन टेक दिस माइनस दिस ऑल्सो. व्हाट इज द प्रॉफिट मार्जिन? प्रॉफिट मार्जिन का मतलब है जो प्रॉफिट आया कंपेयर टू सेल्स. सेल्स का कितना है, ये 100 आपने बेचे, 100 रुपीज का आपने बेचा एंड 20 रुपीज आपको प्रॉफिट हुआ इसमें, लेट अस से. सो व्हाट इज द प्रॉफिट मार्जिन? तो आप बोलोगे 20 डिवाइड बाई 100, 20%. तो 20% प्रॉफिट हुआ ऑन वट एवर यू हैव सोल्ड. 100 रुपीज का जो बेचा आपने टोटल, उसके कंपैरिजन में 20% आपको क्या हुआ, प्रॉफिट हुआ, प्रॉफिट मार्जिन हुआ. तो ये कितना प्रॉफिट मार्जिन का इन परसेंटेज टर्म में, ये प्रॉफिट, दिस पर्टिकुलर प्रॉफिट इन परसेंटेज टर्म में ऑफ द वट एवर यू हैव सोल्ड. सोल्ड क्या है आपका 5000, सो यू हैव दैट इज, इट इज गोइंग टू बी 38%. तो प्रॉफिट मार्जिन यहाँ पर कितना है? In this case the profit margin that you had budgeted is 38%, but actual में क्या आया आपका, जो profit margin आया 1910 divided by 5250, that is a 36%. So you can say there is a drop in the profit margin by amount of this minus this minus. तो आपका क्या हुआ है, जो वेरिएंस है प्रॉफिट मार्जिन में वो क्या है, नेगेटिव है. इसका मतलब प्रॉफिट मार्जिन बेसिकली दैट हैज डिक्रीज्ड, राइट. एंड मेन सो बिकॉज ऑफ दिस वेरिएबल ओवरहेड ने जो है वो अपना ज़्यादा रोल प्ले किया, बिकॉज इट गॉट इंक्रीज्ड, राइट. सो दैट इज हाउ. सो प्रॉफिट मार्जिन हैज रिड्यूस्ड बाय बिकॉज दिस इंक्रीज इन वेरिएबल ओवरहेड. right? So this way you can just analyze the things. तो आपको पता होना चाहिए कि how basically this is for the sake of explanation we have taken the example, so you should know that how we are. So ये variance analysis जो आपके subject का topic है variance analysis, that is what I have discussed over here, because even though in your that particular syllabus it has been mentioned earlier than the budget, but since budget के context में this has to be discussed, so that is why we are discussing it over here. So variance analysis is the process that we discuss over here. This is how basically we are doing. So on the basis of the actual performance, अब आपने जो actual performance देखी, that is how the things happen. ये आपने actual पता चल गया आपको how the things are changing. Based upon this result, you can make changes on the quarter 2 budget, right? Company can modify the budget for the next quarter if the management believes that same pattern will continue to other quarters. तो आपको लगता है कि अब प्रॉफिट मार्जिन कम हो सकता है, दिस कॉस्ट कैन इंक्रीज, मे नॉट बी रिमेन सेम प्रोपोर्शन, और ये जो वेरिएबल ओवरहेड है इस प्रोपोर्शन में नहीं है जो कि ये था, बट इस प्रोपोर्शन में होगा, तो अकॉर्डिंगली यू कैन मेक दैट चेंजेस ऑन द बजट टू, क्वार्टर 3, क्वार्टर 4. सो दिस इज कॉल्ड एज वेरियंस एनालिसिस. एंड व्हाट इज वेरियंस, तो आपको मीनिंग इसका पता होना चाहिए, एंड हाउ वी आर बेसिकली ट्राई टू फाइंड आउट एंड ऑल दैट. तो आपको एक सिंपल सा क्वेश्चन फ्रेम किया जा सकता है इसमें, सिंपली टू फाइंड आउट द वेरियंस. आप एक्चुअल दे दिया, बजटेड फिगर दे दिया, एंड यू आर आपको बोल दिया कि प्रॉफिट मार्जिन में व्हाट इज द वेरियंस, एंड यू कुड बी आस्क्ड सेल्स में कितनी वेरियंस एंड ऑल दैट वे इट कैन बी फ्रेम. ओके, let us now discuss one more form of the budget called as performance budget, right? Or a method of budgeting that you can say that is based upon performance budgeting. Now, as the name suggests, performance budget, that means the budget that is allocated or prepared by looking into the performance of the different departments or different operations, right? So what you will do in the organization, you are having different activities, different operations, and you will analyze all those operations, all those activities in detail, and will see, check the performance of all those operations or departments, and the areas which are performing very good, or they are performing in a very good manner, so those areas will be identified, and therefore they will be allocated a larger proportion of that particular budget. That is why the name came as performance budget. Better you perform, the larger the proportion of the budget will be allocated to you, with the hope that you will perform better in future also. Right? Now let's see these lines. Performance budget is also known as performance based budgeting. That is process, the basically budgeting process based upon performance is a practice of preparing budget. किसके बेसिस पे? On the evaluation of the productivity या performance. आप productivity देखोगे उसमें कितना productive हुआ वो particular operation, that particular activity, right, of the different operations of an organization. So you will evaluate the basically productivity or performance of that particular all the operations in the organization, and therefore accordingly the budget will be prepared. Operations which are contributing the most to the profitability, obviously a particular department, particular operation is highly productive, so the proportion of that towards the profitability will be more. So operations which are contributing more to the profitability, larger share of the budget is allocated to that division. उस particular activity के लिए, उस operation के लिए, for that particular division or department, larger proportion of the budget will be allocated, because that will be contributing more towards the profit of that particular organization. This lead to utilization of the resources such as ऑप्टिमम यूटिलाइजेशन, प्रॉपर यूटिलाइजेशन होगी उससे. भाई जो अच्छा परफॉर्म कर रहा है उसको आप ज़्यादा एलोकेट करोगे, तो ऑब्वियसली विद द होप दैट दैट इज गोइंग टू परफॉर्म बेटर, देन ऑब्वियसली क्या हो रहा है, रिसोर्सेज को आप प्रॉपरली यूटिलाइज कर रहे हो. जहां पर वेयर यूर एवर यूर हैविंग द requirement of the resources, there you are providing the resources, and that way overall productivity, profitability you are increasing. Such as finance, skills of the staff, so that means in all the areas, right, whether it is a finance or whether it is a like production or all the areas which are related to that, so that will lead to the optimum utilization of those all resources, whether they are human resources or otherwise also. Basically the performance budget requires evaluation of performance and productivity from one budget period to the another budget period. Obviously that is how we are going to do, since you already know budget is prepared for a given period of time. So for that particular given period of time, how was the performance and how productive you were. However, it is a process of hence it is a process of identifying the results achieved by each division of the organization. Okay, performance का मतलब ही वही हुआ. Performance budget focuses on result. Focus किसके ऊपर? Result. Better you perform, larger proportion you will be getting as a budget. The final outcome is analyzed. Basically, whatever the in the terms of that in the form of a result or whatever the outcome performance that will be analyzed. Performance budgeting is a motivating tool for the staff. Obviously, think if you are working in a particular department, you are performing very well, right? So if you are performing very well, then obviously you will expect that greater proportion of the budget should come to you. So that greater proportion should come not only for performing that activity, but also in terms of like incentive in the form of increments also. So that is overall, right? So that is how you have to see. Now, whenever you are going to prepare the performance budget, so what you are going to do, you are analyzing the performance of the different kind of different departments, different activities. So what are those different activities, different divisions or different areas for which you need to evaluate in order to decide in order to take the decision related to the performance, right? So there are many different areas for which you need to basically जो performance budgeting की जब बात आती है तो basically it will depend upon the number of other budgets, right? See, performance budget is prepared taking into account various budgets. टेकिंग इनटू अकाउंट वेरियस बजट का मतलब ये है कि अलग अलग डिपार्टमेंट की अलग अलग बिकॉज डिफरेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स आर हैविंग डिफरेंट एक्टिविटीज एंड देयरफॉर फॉर दोज डिफरेंट एक्टिविटीज यू आर preparing different kinds of budgets, right? So those budgets, that means they need to be taken into account while formulating that particular performance budget, right? For example, you are having sale department, you are having purchase department, you are having accounts department, you are having production department, then you are having number of departments. So what you need to, each department will prepare its own budget, and then you will evaluate all those budgets of different departments, and then accordingly based upon the performance you are going to provide or prepare the performance budget for those particular departments, right? Sorry. Now let's see, एक दो तीन बजट मैं डिस्कस करूंगा सिग्निफिकेंट बजट्स विच आर देयर कुड बी नंबर ऑफ बजट्स विच आर रिलेटेड टू डिफरेंट डिपार्टमेंट्स बट सम आर द प्रोमिनेंट बजट्स दैट वी नीड टू डिस्कस, राइट? और डायरेक्टली सिंपल आपको ऐसे क्वेश्चन भी फ्रेम किया जा सकता है एंड ऑल्सो लिटिल आइडिया नीड टू हैव. For example, first one is the sales budget that I am going to discuss, then second one will be the production budget, and that way we are having cash budget, and then finally I am going to discuss with the purchase budget. Now, as the name suggests, that means to carry out the performance budgeting, all these budgets that I mentioned need to be discussed, or you need to know, or rather you should have this budget prepared for all the different departments, and then you will evaluate those budget, and then based upon that you will decide the which department need to be focused more, which department need to provide more funds, etc. Okay, one of the budget, this is I think somewhere in earlier videos I have already told you that sales budget forms the basis for all the budget, right? See, sales budget क्यों form करेगा basis for all the budget? Because you know this is the main budget. Reason being, sales will decide that okay, अगर sales अच्छी होगी तो obviously accordingly you are going to put a lot of money on the different activities. So अगर sale ही नहीं होगी, if there will be no sales, there will be no selling, right? Then obviously the other budgets will depend upon that. ज़्यादा बेचोगे, if you are in position to sell more, then obviously larger proportion of the money will come. अगर बेचोगे नहीं आप, ज़्यादा ही बेचो, if you are not in position to sell more, then obviously in that case less amount of money will come to you. So that way it will act as input to many kind of different budgets, right? अब sales budget में क्या है? Simply sales budget क्या है? That is simply how many, in terms of unit if you talk, then it is going to be how many units you have sold, right? And in terms of rupees if you talk, I have already told you sales, total sales and whatever. If you know the unit price, then let us say if you have sold 1000 units, then unit price is 10 rupees, right? So simply multiply it with that particular 10. That means 10,000 1000 multiplied by 10, then total sales kitni hogi? That becomes 10,000, right? So that is out. So that we will try to find out. What it involves the assessment of the past sales, right? देखो जब भी sales का budget बनेगा, that means sales budget, as you know, it is a expectation, as simple as that. Budget क्या है? This is projection, right? Estimation, right? That this much money is going to come and all that. So when you are thinking of that, okay, तो like how much sales it is going to have, how many units will be sold, वो कहाँ से decide करोगे? That will depend upon lot of factors. नहीं, you will see कि पास में sales data क्या था. Let us first talk about in terms of units. Let us say, तो पास में what was the sales, how many units was sold, right? What is, so based upon that you will try to judge that what is the possibility that in future you are going to sell, right? पास में डिमांड ही बहुत कम थी, तो बेस्ड अपॉन दैट यू कैन ट्राई टू जज दैट व्हाट कुड बी द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ इन फ्यूचर आल्सो, राइट? समथिंग दैट वे. तो पास डेटा इन सेल्स, बेसिकली सेल्स बजट के लिए एक सेल्स जब भी होती है तो सेल्स के लिए हम एक सेल्स फोरकास्टिंग यूज करते हैं. Sales forecasting means you forecast, you estimate what is the demand, what will be the demand in future. तो वो जो demand in future जब when we are going to estimate, then for that we make use of the this mathematical tools like statistical tools. So by making use of those statistical use, हम क्या करते हैं, जो पास्ट डेटा होता है उस पास्ट डेटा को यूज करके हम बताने की कोशिश करते हैं व्हाट इज गोइंग टू बी इन द फ्यूचर. दैट इज द मीनिंग ऑफ दिस. दैट इज मीन सेल्स बजट. बजट तो सी बजट विल बी प्रिपेयर्ड व्हेन यू विल नो दैट हाउ मेनी इट इज गोइंग टू बी सोल्ड. तो हाउ मेनी गोइंग टू बी सोल्ड इज नॉट एन इजी टास्क, दैट यू नीड टू व्हाट असेस, एस्टिमेट बेस्ड ऑन पास्ट डेटा, पास्ट सेल. एक ये हो सकता है. जनरल बिजनेस कंडीशन, एक तो देखा डेटा का यूज किया. दूसरा यू कैन ऑल्सो मेक यूज ऑफ द व्हाट वाज द एनवायरनमेंट. अभी जनरल बिजनेस एनवायरनमेंट कैसा है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी जो करंट सिचुएशन क्या है, कोविड की सिचुएशन चल रही है. सो इवन इफ आई आस्क यू दैट ओके हाउ मेनी यूनिट्स विल बी सोल्ड इन द कमिंग 2 months, you will not be very optimistic. You will say okay, we don't know still. COVID की जो situation चल रही है, maybe peak may be arising, peak may reach about in some location it may be peak may reach in July, in some location it may reach in September, in some location maybe November or something, October, November, we don't know. So when we don't know, तो we have to see the business conditions कैसे, environment कैसा है general, the whole economic environment also you need to see. So data तो past data is telling something, but at the same time past data in itself may not be sufficient sometimes. For example, the example that I quoted you, plant capacity also you need. So that means seasonal fluctuation, कई बार जो है फ्लक्चुएशन डिमांड में फ्लक्चुएशन होती है, एक पर्टिकुलर सीजन में ज़्यादा होगी, एक पर्टिकुलर सीजन में ज़्यादा है. फॉर एग्जांपल वार्मर क्लोथ्स हैं, यू नीड इन लाइक विंटर्स मोर समथिंग. अवेलेबिलिटी, कितना स्टॉक ऑलरेडी पड़ा हुआ है. मार्केट रिसर्च, जो आपने मार्केटिंग टीम ने आपने मार्केट रिसर्च किया, व्हाट कुड बी द पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ दैट. दैट मीन्स सिंपली पॉइंट इज, जब भी आप बजट तैयार करोगे in terms of rupees or in terms of money units, first you need to know how many units. So how many units, if you want to find out that how many units will be sold, that need to, that particular estimation that how many units you can sell in the market will be decided by a number of factors. पास सेल के ऊपर डिपेंड कर सकते हैं, एनवायरमेंटल कंडीशन के ऊपर डिपेंड कर, सीजनल फैक्टर, ऑल दोस फैक्टर जो मैंने मेंशन किए. नाउ लेट्स से वंस यू हैव द डेटा, देन सिंपली आपको आपने एस्टिमेट कर दिया, देन सिंपली यू हैव टू कन्वर्ट दैट डेटा इनटू द in the form of this currency, okay? That's all. Okay, let's see the example. It's a very easy, nothing like special something, but okay, in the form of example we can discuss it. That will be easy. So ये एक कोई particular company है and it is involved in the production of bottles for next year. Let us say it was, maybe it was planning in 2018. So 2019 के लिए it is trying to prepare the sales budget, right? And forecasted sales, ये जो मैंने sales forecasting बताई थी, तो forecasted sales कहाँ से आई, फोरकास्ट किया उसने, सेल्स फोरकास्टिंग की यहाँ पर, एंड दे एस्टिमेटेड बेस्ड अपॉन दिस दैट इन द Q1 इट इज गोइंग टू बी 5000 यूनिट्स, एंड Q2 में जो है वो 6000 यूनिट होगी, एंड Q3 में लेट अस से 7000 यूनिट, 8000 इन द Q4. सो दिस वाज द एस्टिमेशन, राइट? अगले साल की फोरकास्टिंग आपने लेट अस से अभी कर दी, 2000 लेट अस से इन द नेक्स्ट ईयर एंडिंग, दैट इज द 2019 ईयर के लिए आपने एस्टिमेशन कब कर दी, मे बी एट द एंड ऑफ 2018. तो एंड ऑफ द 2018 में आपने क्या किया, यू फोरकास्टेड फॉर द ईयर 2019, होल ऑफ दैट ईयर. तो उस पूरे ईयर में बोला आपने एस्टिमेट किया कि 5000 वन क्वार्टर, दिस एंड दिस जो हमने बताया. देन वेयर एज द सेलिंग प्राइस फॉर द फर्स्ट 2 quarter is estimated to be this, कि पहले और दूसरे क्वार्टर जब आपने इतना सेल किया, So that time unit cost that you can keep is $6. Whereas quarter 3 and 4 के लिए जो उस that particular product that you can sell at the rate of $7 per unit, ठीक है, that is the situation. फिर एक ये तो यहाँ पर जो सिचुएशन दिया दैट इज गिवन इन टर्म्स ऑफ यूनिट्स एंड पर यूनिट प्राइस दिया है. सेल्स डिस्काउंट एंड अलाउंस परसेंटेज विल बी 2% ऑफ द ग्रोस सेल्स फॉर द ऑल द क्वार्टर्स, राइट. तो ये दे दिया कि डिस्काउंट भी आप ऑफर कर रही है, तो सिंपली आपने ग्रॉस सेल के लिए डेटा दिया ऊपर, साथ में यू आर ऑल्सो ऑफरिंग द डिस्काउंट. तो बोलता है प्रिपेयर द सेल्स बजट फॉर द कंपनी फॉर द ईयर एंडिंग 2019. फॉर द ईयर एंडिंग 2000, फॉर ईयर एंडिंग 2000 दैट मीन्स फॉर द होल ऑफ द ईयर 2019 प्रिपेयर द सेल्स बजट, राइट, क्वार्टर वाइज. तो लेट्स सी द इंफॉर्मेशन हमने कुछ नहीं की. यहाँ एक एरर है दैट यू नीड टू जस्ट सी. यहाँ पर डॉलर लिखा है ये, राइट, दिस इज नॉट डॉलर, दिस इज यूनिट्स. तो ये गलत है, दिस इंफॉर्मेशन इज रॉन्ग. So this data is in units. Okay, now let's see. This is the forecast for the 2019 that you did in the at the end of 2018. forecasted यूनिट कितने हैं आपके हिसाब से? इतने बिक सकते हैं. आपने कहा क्वार्टर 1 में 5000, क्वार्टर 2 में 6000, क्वार्टर 3 में 7000, क्वार्टर 4 में 8000. एंड जैसे मैंने मेंशन किया था कि क्वार्टर 1 और 2 में दो यूनिट प्राइस कितना रहेगा? इतना. हर एक यूनिट आप 6 रुपए से ऊपर नहीं बेच सकते, ओनली एट 6 रुपीज दैट यू आर कीपिंग द प्राइस. वेयर एज इन क्वार्टर 3 एंड 4 यू मे हैव एस्टिमेटेड दैट डिमांड हो सकता है, डिमांड बढ़ जाए मे बी, एंड देयरफॉर यू कैन रेज द प्राइस. एंड इवन आफ्टर रेजिंग द प्राइस द नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स यू कैन सेल विल बी कैन ऑल्सो इंक्रीज. लाइक यूनिट प्राइस मैंने 7 कर दिया फ्रॉम 6 to 7, डिस्पाइट दैट यूर आपका जो है क्या हो गया, दैट नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स सोल्ड ऑल्सो इंक्रीज. So that is your estimation. Now if I ask you quarter 1 में what was the total sales in terms of rupees, कितनी सेल्स हुई? आप बोलोगे कितने यूनिट्स बेचे आपने क्वार्टर 1 में, पर यूनिट प्राइस कितना था? तो दिस वाज द पर यूनिट प्राइस, दिस वाज द टोटल यूनिट्स यू सोल्ड. तो सिंपली टोटल सेल्स इन द क्वार्टर 1 वाज दिस मल्टीप्लाइड बाय दिस, $30,000. What about the quarter 2? This multiplied by this. This was the quarter 2 sales. Total sales or total income, total revenue, whatever you call it, meaning same. What was the total sales in terms of rupees in quarter 3? Rupees this multiplied by number of units, it becomes this. No, here it is. These units are dollar, right? $6, $6, $7, $8. So this, and same way you multiply this with this, you are going to get the total sales, right? तो ये आपका बजट बन गया इन टर्म्स ऑफ व्हाट, टोटल सेल्स की फॉर्म में, कि इतने आपका बनी आएगा. This will be the monies after selling the product that you are going to come to you in that quarters, in those quarters. Now, but at the same time, what you have done is, this is what you have sold at this price, but at the same time, what you are doing, you are also offering the discount. That is what mentioned. The sales discount and allowance percentage will be 2% of the gross sales for all the quarters. तो gross sale इस क्वार्टर में कितनी हुई टोटल? इतनी. तो डिस्काउंट क्या है? इसके ऊपर आपने डिस्काउंट दिया. यू हैव गिवन द डिस्काउंट एट दिस ग्रॉस सेल, हाउ मच? 2% इन ईच क्वार्टर. तो व्हाट इज द 2% ऑफ दिस? 2% ऑफ 30,000, इट बिकम $600. तो आपने बेसिकली टोटल सेल्स की इतने की, यू हैव done the total sales of $30,000. At the same time, you provided the discount of $600 during that quarter. So net income or net sales or net revenue जो आपके पास आया, ये तो आपको आया नहीं, ये तो आपको कस्टमर को चला गया, राइट, इन द फॉर्म ऑफ डिस्काउंट. अगर डिस्काउंट नहीं होता देन बात खत्म हो जाती है यहाँ पर. आई वुड हैव क्लोज्ड ओवर हियर ओनली, बट सिंस यू आर ऑफरिंग डिस्काउंट ऑल्सो इन ईच क्वार्टर, इस क्वार्टर में कितना? 2%. हर एक क्वार्टर में, इन एवरी क्वार्टर यू आर ऑफरिंग 2%. सो देन यू हैव टू रिमूव दिस माइनस दिस, यू आर गेटिंग दिस माइनस दिस. सो 2% ऑफ दिस, 2% ऑफ दिस, 2% ऑफ दिस, 2% of this will be this, 2% of this will be this, something. So that means this minus this will be इतना. तो actual net income कितनी है? Not net profit, ध्यान रहे. This is not the net profit, this is the net sales. It is net sales or net this is income or net revenue, whatever you call it. Net sales, net income or net revenue. Here gross क्या है? Gross when you have not considered the sales. This is all. So ये क्या है? Once you have this detail that this much money is going to come to you, then obviously अब मुझे पता है कि मेरे पास इतना पैसा आएगा, and therefore if this is the money that I am going to get in that quarter, then इसका कौन सा पोर्शन कहाँ जाएगा? परचेज के लिए कितना यूटिलाइज करूँ, प्रोडक्शन के लिए कितना यूटिलाइज करूं, हाउ मच शुड आई यूटिलाइज इन प्रोडक्शन, हाउ शुड आई यूटिलाइज इन फाइनेंस, and maybe for taking loans or something that way, something in different, for performing different activities where you can allocate this fund in this quarter one. So this is estimated in this one, and how much money you can utilize in different activities, right? Something that way. So that is how it is going to reference as a for the all the different kinds of budgets. Okay, so आपको जो simple information दी होगी, the way it is given over here, and you may be asked to find out something, right? It is very simple, it's not something complicated. Now another form of budget could be production budget, right? Production department, your production, they will prepare the budget for its own, how much units they are going to produce, right? Production department is going to talk in terms of number of units. So that is why if you see, normally the production budget that will be prepared in the form of physical unit. It will not be prepared in the terms of cost, but in terms of number of units. Ki how many number of units your production department needs to प्रोड्यूस. भाई सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट ने एस्टिमेटेड दे दिया, सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट तो बोलता है कि इतना नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स आई एम गोइंग टू सेल इन दिस पर्टिकुलर क्वार्टर, इन दिस क्वार्टर, इन दिस क्वार्टर. तो सेल्स से आपको तो ये पता चल जाएगा कि इतने मैं सेल करूंगा, बट प्रोडक्शन कितनी करनी है, थ्योरेटिकली तो इतनी ही करनी है जितने आप अकॉर्डिंग टू यू द अमाउंट ऑफ सेल्स दैट यू आर गोइंग टू डू, उतनी ही दैट मच अमाउंट यू हैव टू प्रोड्यूस, राइट? बट जब प्रोडक्शन बजट तैयार करोगे इन द नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स, theoretically it will be equal to sales, जितनी सेल्स होगी, बट वी ऑल्सो नीड टू सी वेदर आई एम हैविंग सम स्टॉक और नॉट. कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है कि आपके पास क्वार्टर वन के लिए सेल्स दैट यू आर गोइंग टू डू इज 5000 यूनिट्स, बट डू यू हैव सम स्टॉक ऑलरेडी लाइंग इन योर इन्वेंटरी, राइट? और मे बी एट द एंड ऑफ द क्वार्टर वन डू यू वांट सम काइंड ऑफ स्टॉक टू बी अवेलेबल विद यू, एंड दोज टू मे बी डिफरेंट. भाई क्वार्टर वन से पहले यू आर हैविंग some kind of stock, let us say 10 यूनिट है, right? At the end of the quarter two, how many units do you want to be there in your stock? That may be different. You may be having, depending upon the situation, market situation and all that, you may be saying that at the end of the quarter two you should have stock of 50. So production कितनी करूं? तो production will be decided based upon what? कितनी sales होनी है, how many units you are having, and that means how many units you are already having in the stock, and how many units do you expect at the end of the quarter one to be there in your stock. ये तीनों चीजें डिसाइड करेंगी प्रोडक्शन. तो सी द प्रोडक्शन बजट कैलकुलेट्स द नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स प्रोडक्ट्स दैट मस्ट बी मैन्युफैक्चर्ड. कितने बनाने हैं थ्योरेटिकली, तो आपने यू आर गोइंग टू प्रोड्यूस इक्वल टू द जितने योर नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स यू आर गोइंग टू सेल और टोटल सेल्स. एंड इज बट इट विल डिपेंड अपॉन व्हाट, इट इज डिराइव्ड फ्रॉम ए कॉम्बिनेशन ऑफ व्हाट, सेल्स फोरकास्ट. जैसे पिछले एग्जांपल में एज आई गिव यू, कितना सेल्स फोरकास्ट था आपका, you said it was 5000, it will depend upon this sales forecast कितना है, you said this is 5000, right? And planned amount of finished goods inventory to have on hand, कि at the end of that particular period how much goods, how much items, how much products do you want to be as a inventory or a stock on the hand. कितना चाहते हो कि आपके हाथ में you should have inventory in your hand. Here I was giving you the example of 50. कि at the end of quarter one how many units you should have in your hand, right? क्यों चाहिए आपको? As usually safety stock to cover the unexpected increase in demand, because this will be decided based upon कि next quarter में if there are any chances of, even though you may have expected 6000, but अगर sudden demand आ गई तो उसको cover up करने के लिए मुझे how many units do I need to have in stock, additional unit do I need to have in stock. सडनली आ गई डिमांड, ये तो आपको 6000 यूनिट्स यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू प्रोड्यूस इन ए सिंगल डे, ये तो पूरे क्वार्टर में आपने प्रोड्यूस करने हैं. पर अगर किसी लड़े से फर्स्ट मंथ में ही आपको रिक्वायरमेंट सडन आ गई तो उसको कॉम्पेंसेट कौन करेगा? अगर एंड ऑफ द क्वार्टर वन यू हैव सम सेफ्टी स्टॉक इन्वेंटरी, ये तो अगर सडनली आ गई तो यहां से आप क्या कर सकते हो, दे सकते हो. ये तो रेगुलरली दिस इज यू आर गोइंग टू प्रोड्यूस रेगुलरली ओवर दिस 3 मंथ्स, ओवर द 3 मंथ क्वार्टर टू के. बट ये क्या हो, तो ये दैट विल बी डिसाइडेड बेस्ड अपॉन द एक्सपेक्टेशन, और सडन जो है यहाँ पर जो है वो जो जंप आ सकता है समथिंग. सो दैट मीन्स फिनिश्ड गुड्स इन्वेंटरी कितनी रखनी है आपने. सो यूजुअली फिनिश्ड गुड्स इन्वेंटरी का सेफ्टी स्टॉक टू कवर द अनएक्सपेक्टेड इंक्रीज इन द डिमांड, जो कि नेक्स्ट पीरियड में आ सकती है. दैट कैन बी टेक प्लेस इन द नेक्स्ट पीरियड. ओके, बट एज आई टोल्ड यू, नॉट ओनली दिस विल ऑल्सो डिपेंड अपॉन इनिशियल स्टॉक. ऐसा भी हो सकता है क्वार्टर वन से पहले पिछले साल का ही आपके पास एंड में स्टॉक कितना बच गया हो, इतना बच गया हो. बेस्ड अपॉन दैट ऑल्सो यू विल डिसाइड. ओके, तो कितना प्रोड्यूस करें. So production budget will be this, that how much you need to produce. You will say एक्सपेक्टेड सेल्स, अब मैं एग्जांपल ले लेता हूँ। एक्सपेक्टेड सेल्स क्या है, आपने कहा कि मैंने अगले क्वार्टर के लिए, अगले मंथ के लिए, वट जो भी पीरियड, वट एवर पीरियड दैट यू हैव कंसिडर, दिस इज द एक्सपेक्टेड सेल्स। व्हाट डू यू एक्सपेक्ट एट द एंड ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर पीरियड, कितनी आपकी इन्वेंट्री होनी चाहिए? यू सेड आई शुड हैव इन्वेंट्री ऑफ 20, राइट? तो अगर 20 आपकी इन्वेंट्री होनी चाहिए एट द एंड ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर पीरियड, एंड इतनी आपकी जो है एक्चुअल सेल्स होनी है, सो हाउ मच यू शुड प्रोड्यूस? You should produce 120, this plus this। तो उसमें से 20 पार्ट यू विल कीप इन योर वेयर हाउस एज ए स्टॉक, 100 जो है वो डायरेक्टली चला जाएगा, राइट? विल बी डायरेक्टली सोल्ड। नाउ minus beginning inventory, as I gave you the example, it may happen that during this period, when this period started, this month started, or this quarter started, you are having the some inventory from the previous period. So let us say वो inventory I am saying, let us say you are having 30, कुछ भी हो सकती है, it could be anything. So if this is the inventory you are already having from the previous period, then what you need to do, इतना तो आपको प्रोड्यूस करना ही है, इतना डायरेक्ट सेल्स, इतना आपका सेफ्टी स्टॉक बचेगा, स्टोर करोगे, बट साथ में आपको ऑलरेडी यू आर हैविंग कितने, -30, तो उसको क्या करना पड़ेगा, -30 को हटाना पड़ेगा। सो हाउ मच यू आर गोइंग टू एक्चुअल प्रोड्यूस, दैट इज 90। तो दिस विल बी योर व्हाट, रिक्वायर्ड प्रोडक्शन। तो ये आपका जो है प्रोडक्शन बजट बन गया, दैट्स ऑल। सो जस्ट कीप इट इन माइंड, मेरे पास कितना है, मेरे हाउ मच डू आई हैव, हाउ मच आई एक्सपेक्ट इट टू बी हैव एट द एंड ऑफ दैट पीरियड, and how much actual sales I want, expected sales कितनी है, these three factors will decide. Again the same information in the form of example has been given to you. This particular company ABC है, एक particular period production, quarterly production budget तैयार करना for a period 200, it may be 203 or 13 maybe, let's say I'm taking 2013 के लिए। तो at the end of the 2012, at the end of the 2012 we have to prepare the production budget for the year 2013, okay? And quarter wise you have to prepare. So I am, let us say, taking this as a 2013, you can also say 2013. The company estimates to sell how much, ये sales forecast है, this much units for each quarter, respective quarters 1 2 3, तो same has been displayed over here। sales quarter 1 के लिए 10,000 यूनिट, 2 में इतनी होगी, 3 में इतनी होगी, 4 में इतनी होगी। Also company wants to maintain a falling inventory, ending inventory level in each subsequent quarter respectively। क्या चाहती है कि एट द एंड ऑफ द ईच क्वार्टर देयर शुड बी एन इन्वेंट्री ऑफ दिस यूनिट्स, राइट? तो ये इंफॉर्मेशन हमने यहां डिस्प्ले कर दी। एंडिंग इन्वेंट्री कितनी चाहिए, क्वार्टर 1 के एट द एंड ऑफ द क्वार्टर 1, एट द एंड ऑफ द क्वार्टर 2, एट द एंड ऑफ द क्वार्टर 1 यू वांट दिस मच फिनिश गुड स्टॉक, इतनी इन्वेंट्री चाहते हो आप कि आपके स्टॉक में हो, दिस मच बी द यूनिट्स इन योर वेयर हाउस, राइट? ये तो आपने डायरेक्टली बेच देने हैं, एज दे आर प्रोड्यूस्ड you will be directly sold, but itna I want in my stock। same way in quarter 2 what I want, at the end of the quarter 2 I need to have 3000 in my stock, ye to this is in any case I am going to produce, so this much additional I need to produce 4000 in my stock at the end of third, at the end of the fourth period I want this number of units at my inventory। so that means in each quarter you are having this situation, and at the same time he's saying in the beginning of 2013, right? That means on the 1st January 2013 inventory is 8000 units। तो पहले क्वार्टर के शुरू में ही आपके पास इन्वेंट्री कितनी है, इतनी है। so this inventory you are already having, this is what is expected sale, this is you want to have at the end of that particular period। तो एक्चुअल में this is what you need to what, this much actually you need to produce, right? because 10,000 you need डायरेक्ट सेल्स, 2000 जो है वो आपको एंड में इन्वेंट्री चाहिए आपके स्टॉक में, तो दैट मीन्स यू शुड हैव 12,000 यूनिट्स। बट शुरू में ही क्वार्टर 1 के शुरू में ही एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ 2001, दैट इज जनवरी 1 2013 में ही यू आर हैविंग 8000 यूनिट। तो ओपनिंग स्टॉक ही आपका क्या है, दिस इज द ओपनिंग स्टॉक फॉर क्वार्टर 1। तो 12,000 प्रोड्यूस करने थे, बट 8,000 यू आर हैविंग द ओपनिंग स्टॉक। सो एक्चुअल कितने प्रोड्यूस करने हैं, एक्चुअल यू आर गोइंग टू प्रोड्यूस दिस मच, दिस इज योर प्रोडक्शन बजट, राइट? सो यू हैव टू सी फॉर ईच क्वार्टर ईच पीरियड हाउ मच इन्वेंट्री यू आर हैविंग, एंड इन्वेंट्री कितनी चाहिए, सेल्स कितनी है, बिगिनिंग में कितनी है। क्वार्टर टू के लिए वही सिचुएशन है, बट यहाँ पर आपको एक चीज नोट करनी है। क्वार्टर टू के लिए यू ऑलरेडी नो दैट दिस इज द सेल्स दैट यू नीड, एंड इतना जो है एट द एंड ऑफ द क्वार्टर टू, एंड क्वार्टर टू के एंड में मुझे इतना चाहिए, बट सो दैट मीन्स टोटल आई शुड हैव प्रोड्यूस दिस मच 15,000, बट what is the opening for quarter 2? If I ask you what is the opening for quarter 2, opening for the quarter 2 is the ending stock of quarter 1. So that is जो अप्रैल 1 को आपके एंड पे स्टॉक होगा, राइट, अप्रैल 1 को स्टॉक होगा आपके एंड में, वो कितना है, दैट इज द सेम विच यू हैव मेंशन ओवर हियर एज एंडिंग स्टॉक फॉर द पीरियड 1. पीरियड 1 कौन सा हुआ, मार्च 31 के 12 o'clock रात को, राइट. सो दैट टाइम यू आर हैविंग 2000, तो दैट मीन्स द एंडिंग स्टॉक फॉर क्वार्टर 1 विल बी द ओपनिंग स्टॉक फॉर क्वार्टर 2, राइट. सो दिस इज द सिचुएशन. सो दिस इज द फोरकास्ट, दिस इज वेयर हाउस में आपको चाहिए, यू शुड हैव प्रोड्यूस दिस मच, बट ऑलरेडी आपके शुरू में ही क्वार्टर में के एट द स्टार्ट ऑफ द क्वार्टर यू हैव दिस एज ए ओपनिंग स्टॉक. सो नेट जो आपने प्रोड्यूस करना है दिस माइनस दिस, यू आर गोइंग टू प्रोड्यूस दिस. सेम सिचुएशन कंटिन्यूस. क्वार्टर 3 के लिए यू आर हैविंग दिस मच, एंड दिस मच इज द एंडिंग जो क्वार्टर 3 के एंड में चाहिए. व्हाट इज द एट द स्टार्ट ऑफ द क्वार्टर 3, क्वार्टर 3 के स्टार्ट में यू आर हैविंग द एंड ऑफ क्वार्टर 2 का जो स्टॉक है दैट विल बी द ओपनिंग स्टॉक फॉर क्वार्टर 3. तो इसका मतलब जैसे ही आपका क्वार्टर 3 स्टार्ट हुआ, एज द क्वार्टर 3 स्टार्टेड यू आर हैविंग 3000 इन हैंड. इतने आपने डायरेक्टली मार्केट में भेज देने हैं, इतने आपने वेयर हाउस में रखने हैं. यू शुड हैव दिस मच, बट सिंस यू आर ऑलरेडी हैविंग दिस मच, सो दिस माइनस दिस मच यू नीड टू एक्चुअली प्रोड्यूस. सेम विद दिस, सेम सिचुएशन ओवर हियर, ओपनिंग स्टॉक ये हो गया एंड दैट वे. नाउ ईयर वाइज अगर देख लें, ईयरली लड़ से, तो क्या चाहिए आपको, ईयर के स्टार्ट में टोटल ईयर पूरे होल ऑफ दिस 2013 के लिए हाउ मच यू नीड टू प्रोड्यूस, दिस सिंपली द सम ऑफ दिस, इतना आपने प्रोड्यूस करना है. एंडिंग इन्वेंट्री कितनी होगी ईयर के एंड में, 2500, वो वही होगी जो क्वार्टर 4 के एंड में होगा, राइट. जनवरी 1 2014, जनवरी 1 2014 को इन्वेंट्री इतनी होगी जो क्वार्टर 4 के एंड में होगी, एंड ऑफ 2013. सो इट इज द सेम. एंड हाउ मेनी यूनिट्स you would have needed in that year, you required this much, ये टोटल यूनिट्स चाहिए थे, बट शुरू इस ईयर के स्टार्टिंग में ही हाउ मेनी यूनिट्स यू आर हैविंग, 8000. क्वार्टर 1 के ओपन होते ही 2013 के ओपन होते ही आपको जो है कितना था, दैट मीन्स तो एट द ओपनिंग यू आर हैविंग दिस मच यूनिट्स. सो एक्चुअल जो प्रोड्यूस किए पूरे साल में कितने हुए, दिस माइनस दिस 21, और सिंपली इसको ऐड भी कर दोगे तब भी इतना ही आ जाएगा. दैट्स ऑल. सो दैट इज हाउ द प्रोडक्शन बजट यू आर गोइंग टू. तो आपने यही ध्यान रखना है, जो क्वार्टर 1 का जो यहाँ पर जो क्लोजिंग स्टॉक है ये ओपनिंग हो जाएगा नेक्स्ट क्वार्टर का. दैट इज ओनली मिस्टेक यू कुड हैव, अदरवाइज इट्स प्रीटी सिंपल. ओके, सो दैट इज हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू अटेम्प्ट. अगर कोई सिंपल क्वेश्चन जो है इसके बेसिस पे आपको, यू शुड नो दैट व्हाट इज प्रोडक्शन बजट एंड हाउ यू आर गोइंग टू फाइंड आउट. ये आपको जो दिस इज नॉट ए फॉर्मूला, दिस इज ए कॉमन अंडरस्टैंडिंग, ए सिंपल अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट यू आर हैविंग टू फाइंड आउट द नंबर ऑफ यूनिट्स दैट नीड टू बी प्रोड्यूस्ड. Okay, one more form of budget that can be discussed over here is called as cash budget. As the name suggests, cash budget stands for, that is cash mean money, right. That means you have this inflow when the organization prepare a budget which shows that inflow and outflow of that particular cash or money in the organization, then we call it as a cash budget, right. So just see, cash budget is prepared by analyzing what, cash inflow and outflow of an organization. कितना पैसा आया, कितना रुपीज आया आपके पास, कितना गया. when you prepare the whole of that account showing inflow and outflow, उसको हमने नाम दे दिया cash budget. now उसी it is important in the sense कि इसी आपकी organization में when you are involving in different activities, how much money is coming and how much is going, right, that you need to know. Otherwise, for example, the money incoming is less and outgoing is more, and if you have not kept the record, then you may face trouble. So that to avoid that kind of situation, you should have you have to prepare the cash budget. It is prepared to ensure the sound liquid position of an organization, so that see liquidity, ये term use किया जाता है आपका liquidity. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर बैंक के केस में अगर हम बात करें, बैंक, इफ आई से बैंकिंग में नॉर्मली यूज किया जाता है टर्म कॉल्ड एज लिक्विडिटी. लिक्विडिटी का मतलब ये है कि जो मनी दैट यू आर हैविंग इन द बैंक विच कैन बी यूटिलाइज्ड, राइट, लिक्विड फॉर्म में है। लिक्विड फॉर्म का मतलब ये नहीं रियल लिक्विड फॉर्म है, दैट मनी विच इज अवेलेबल विद द बैंक्स, एंड इफ द कस्टमर कम्स देन बैंक मस्ट बी इन पोजीशन टू dispose of that money and something, or maybe bank need to purchase something, then in that case that bank need to have certain amount of money. See, you already know the bank also gives money for different activities, so that part is not let us say if I have taken a home loan, right, so I have taken it from a bank, so bank has already given that money, the return can come from that money to that particular bank, but that money is not in the hands of the bank, right. Bank will show it somewhere, but when I will say how much is the liquid money that is having, that is the money which can be easily made available to the customers. Same way here also, cash, when we say that kisi bhi organization ki when you talk about, then you need to have sound liquid position. That means that organization should have money in hand, right, some money in hand, and if it is that position is strong, then in that case it will be good for the organization, because if some kind of money requirement comes, then you will be able to meet that money requirement easily, right. So in any, you talk for any particular kind of organization, it should have a good sound matlab good strong liquid position, that means liquidity honi chahiye, that is they should have money in hand to make that money available to the different activities, so that ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कैन पे इट्स शॉर्ट टर्म लाइबिलिटीज। लाइबिलिटीज का मतलब कहीं देना है पैसा किसी का, राइट, वेर एवर जहां पर रिक्वायरमेंट अराइज होती है, वेयर यू आर एबल टू pay that money and meet that requirement, right. It also helps the organization in avoiding situation in which there is idle cash. See, budget, if you have prepared the cash budget will show that at a particular point of time, let us say particular week mein ya particular month mein, whether you are having access amount of money available in your bank or in your account, like, so that will be idle cash. Idle cash का मतलब है कि आपके पास access में पैसा है, right, but you are not utilizing it, that is idle cash. So when you are not in position to utilize it, you are having sufficient amount of money lying in your account, then it is idle. That means that you are not utilizing it, ना तो investment हो रही है, ना ही किसी की requirement है, तो idle है, कोई आप resource, you are not generating any kind of resource from that money. एक तो ये पता चल जाएगा. सेकेंड, ऑल्सो इफ you have prepared a cash budget, it will also let you know that at any particular point of time, whether in that particular week or in that particular month, whether you are going to face any kind of shortage of the cash or not. If you are going to face any shortage of cash, then from where you are going to arrange money for that particular activity. तो ये possible है only when you will, जब आप उसका हिसाब किताब रखोगे, पैसा कहाँ से आया, कब आया, कितना आया, all that, right. So that will be the part of cash budget. So यहाँ just for an example, you can just have a look over here. You don't need to remember this example, but just आपको एक idea होना चाहिए. That is all I think. So this is a cash budget for a month which the company has prepared. Week 1, week 2 and week 3. So in weeks में you are having different requirements. पैसा अलग अलग, the money is going to come from different areas and also going to be consumed in different areas, right, in these different weeks. Let's talk about the week 1, and similarly we are going to talk about the next other weeks also. When the week 1 started, you are having money in your account as $25,000, let us say. अब उस week में from where the money is going to come, that has been listed over here. That is why it is used as plus. That means that money is going to come to your account. See, cash sales. Cash sales means आपने रियल कैश मतलब जैसे आप बोलते हो लूज मनी, जो आप ट्रांजैक्ट करते हो हैंड टू हैंड, थ्रू दैट सम अमाउंट ऑफ मनी इज गोइंग टू कम व्हेन यू सेल ए पर्टिकुलर प्रोडक्ट. सो दैट इज अमाउंट दैट इज मेंशन्ड ओवर हियर. अकाउंट रिसीवेबल एंड अकाउंट्स रिसीवेबल कलेक्टेड. दैट मीन्स आपका मनी, यू हैव ऑलरेडी सोल्ड द प्रोडक्ट, बट दैट मनी इज डायरेक्टली कमिंग टू योर अकाउंट. मैंने आई हैव सोल्ड इट टू अ पर्टिकुलर कस्टमर एंड कस्टमर इज सेंडिंग दैट अमाउंट टू माई अकाउंट. सो हाउ मच मनी यू आर गोइंग टू get in your account as a receivable that you are going to receive is, let us say, $1,80,000, and some more amount of money can come to your account if some kind of asset sale has taken place. Asset sale का मतलब है कि let us say you are having a building, I'm just quoting an example, just an example, and you have sold that building. तो जब when you will sell that building, तो आप क्या करोगे, यू विल गेट सम मनी, और यू आर हैविंग ए लैंड, यू हैव सोल्ड दैट लैंड, यू आर गेटिंग द मनी। तो ये क्या है, दीज आर एसेट्स, बिल्डिंग इज एसेट फॉर यू, दैट यू own it, right? And therefore why it is asset, that if you will sell it then you're going to get the money, that is asset for you. Or maybe same kind of like you are having other kind of, whether it is a flat, whether a building, whether you are even machinery could be a asset. For example, you are having a machinery lying with you which you are not using, machine lying with you, you are not using it, right? It is asset for you. So let's say what you have, you have sold it, let us say for this, right? तो हम बोलेंगे asset sales करके you got the money, some amount of money. So these are some sources of like money that you got, and let us say total money that you are having in that particular week is going to be this much. इतना money आएगा आपके पास in that particular week, initially you are having this much. Now where the money goes, where you are going to use that cash or that money? Direct material, material खरीदना पड़ेगा आपको, labor के लिए you have to pay for the labor, you have to pay for the manufacturing overhead, you are having many expenses during manufacturing. Selling and administrative, that is advertisement, all that are different kind of other kind of expenses, or maybe carrying out day-to-day activities, administrative expenses. Asset purchase, so आपने कोई asset purchase कर लिया, let's say machine ही खरीद ली, यहाँ पर हो सकता है एक machine बेची हो, flat बेचा हो, land बेची हो, something that way, right? Here हो सकता है you have requirement of particular machine, let us say that costs you $20,000, तो यहाँ पर वो पैसा गया आपके यहाँ से, that is why all these money is going to go, and therefore this is minus. One more kind of money that can go is basically dividend payment. We call it as a dividend payment. Dividend mean basically the shareholders, company, as you know, share market के बारे में a little idea you may be having. So companies like private companies are having their like public like private companies, private limited companies more appropriately. Private limited companies are having their thousands or lakhs of shareholders. So when a company, let us say, generate profit, particular profit, let us say आपने बोला जी मुझे 1 लाख का प्रॉफिट हो गया एक पर्टिकुलर मंथ में, लेट अस से डॉलर का प्रॉफिट हुआ इस कंपनी को, एंड लेट अस से दिस कंपनी डिसाइडेड दैट आउट ऑफ दिस टोटल प्रॉफिट सम पोर्शन ऑफ प्रॉफिट इट इज गोइंग टू गिव इट टू द शेयर होल्डर्स. सो किसी को $10 जाएगा, किसी को 50 जाएगा, डिपेंडिंग अपॉन हाउ मच दे हैव शेयर विद देम ऑफ दैट कंपनी. सो ये जो पैसा है फ्रॉम द प्रॉफिट that you are going to pay to these your shareholders of that particular company, उसको हम डिविडेंड बोल देते हैं. सो इस वीक में you are having no such requirement, you are not paying any dividend to the shareholders of that company, zero. So this is not going out of your account. This is the situation. So कितना कैश आपने मनी आपने it is going to go away this much, and so this is just see, this is the total cash that you are coming in that particular week. This is the total cash that you are going to get, you have to pay, right? So net you are going to have is this much, $55,000 in your hand for the next week. आ जाते हैं next week के ऊपर. So here you are having next week, second week के start में beginning में cash अब कितना हो गया, जितना closing था आपका first week का, the closing of the first week becomes the availability for the second week. Again the same situation, these are the receivables that you are going to have, this much the total money cash you are going to get in that particular week. This is going to be the outgo. If you see asset purchase आपने कुछ नहीं किए इसलिए zero, and but here you are paying the dividend payment. If you see $1 lakh जो है आपने let us say you pay to the your shareholders, this paying out in the second week basically worsened your situation, you came into negative, right? यहाँ तो positive थे net cash you are having in hand, but second at the end of the second week you became negative because you have substantial amount of dividend payment you made to the शेयर होल्डर्स. तो यहाँ पर नेगेटिव आ गया. और इसके बाद जो भी देखोगे इवन दो डिविडेंड बाकी के वीक्स में जीरो है, बट दिस विल वर्सन द सिचुएशन. फॉर द थर्ड वीक यू डोंट हैव मनी, नेगेटिव, राइट? यू आर एक्सपेंडिंग दिस अमाउंट मनी, कमिंग मनी इज दिस मच, टोटल इज दिस मच, बट आउट गो इज क्वाइट लार्ज ओवर हियर, राइट? सो इनिशियल वॉज नेगेटिव, सो ओवरऑल जो है जो वैल्यू आ रही है दैट इज कमिंग आउट टू बी नेगेटिव. और थर्ड फोर्थ वीक के लिए इट इज गोइंग टू बी नेगेटिव अगेन. स्टार्टिंग फॉर द फोर्थ वीक अगेन समथिंग कम्स आउट and something goes out, net you are left out with again negative and at the end negative. So अब यहाँ पर if you just see you are going to face a trouble where भाई इतना पैसा जाना है, net cash आपको, this is the money, that total money that you are going to take away. यहाँ पर इन activities को you cannot stop, here larger amount of money will go. So इसका difference, इतना difference कहाँ से लाओगे? How you are going to pay the labor, how you are going to pay the manufacturing overhead, how you are going to purchase the material, because you will fall short by this amount, right? So here the picture is clear that you had planned to dividend payment in the second week. Now what you can do, you can delay, right? You can think of whether you have to pay or not, you can delay it to the fourth week or next month or something, because maybe you may be having some amount of money that is coming in the next weeks which can compensate this. But here, if you make the dividend payment, this is going to worsen your situation in the next weeks, and that way, if you had thought of like paying it at this stage, then you must also think of from where this money is going to come in this week and this week, sorry, this and this, right? So that is all. So basically cash budget is going to give you an overview and tell you where you're going to face the trouble or where you're going to have the surplus and how you're going to get that particular utilize that particular cash. And if you're stuck up, then you have to see the alternate situation, alternate options from where you can generate the surplus amount. Okay, so that is how you can just think of. On the similar lines, let us discuss the one last budget called as purchase budget. So that means budget prepared by the purchase department, right? अब ये कहाँ से कितना बजट है आएगा इन द फॉर्म ऑफ लाइक रुपीज और डॉलर्स और व्हाट मॉनेटरी टर्म्स में क्या परचेज इन्फॉर्मेशन देगा, प्रोवाइड्स रिगार्डिंग परचेज ड्यूरिंग द बजटेड पीरियड में जो भी व्हाट एवर द पीरियड दैट यू हैव कंसीडर्ड फॉर दैट बजट, ड्यूरिंग दैट पीरियड हाउ मच मनी यू नीड फॉर परचेजिंग द डिफरेंट आइटम्स, राइट? हाउ मच मनी यू नीड. अब परचेजिंग का पता कहाँ से चलेगा कि हाउ मच आई नीड टू परचेज? तो फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट यू नीड टू हैव द इन्फॉर्मेशन फ्रॉम द प्रोडक्शन कितनी करनी है. इफ यू नो द प्रोडक्शन, देयर यू कैन गेट द आइडिया. तो फर्स्ट एंड फॉरमोस्ट इंफॉर्मेशन इज प्रोडक्शन. सो इस उसके अलावा भी कुछ एक और चाहिए मुझे, स्टॉक्स चाहिए. फॉर एग्जांपल इट इज अ प्रिपेयर्ड बाय कंसीडरिंग ओपनिंग एंड क्लोजिंग स्टॉक्स, वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस एंड मैक्सिमम मिनिमम लेवल ऑफ इन्वेंटरी टू मेंटेन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. इसको मैं बाद में एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ विद द हेल्प ऑफ एग्जांपल. बस यहाँ पर एक टर्म मैं एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूँ. वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस का मतलब है कि व्हेन यू आर हैविंग ए मटेरियल बीइंग प्रोसेस, राइट? ये फैक्ट्री है, राइट? रॉ मटेरियल यहाँ से आ रहा है एंड ये फिनिश्ड गुड्स है, बना के निकला आपका जो पार्ट है. अब यहाँ पर यू आर हैविंग नंबर ऑफ डिफरेंट मशीन्स, राइट? सो व्हेन यू स्टार्टेड प्रोड्यूसिंग द कंपोनेंट, ये यहाँ से यहाँ जाएगा, देन आफ्टर this machine to this machine. So for certain duration of time, this material is going to remain within that particular organization, within that particular plant, where it is passing from one machine to another. तो इसको बोलते हैं work in progress. That means ये material which is in progress to be, which is in process of getting converted from raw material to the finished goods, but still stuck up inside that particular plant. तो उसको work in progress कि काम चल रहा है. किसका काम चल रहा है? ऑफ कन्वर्टिंग दैट रॉ मटेरियल इनटू फिनिश्ड गुड्स. सो हाउ मेनी क्वांटिटीज देयर, यू कैन गेट इट कैलकुलेटेड ओवर देयर बाय चेकिंग द स्टॉक्स, राइट? एक तो हो गया ये. तो आपको ये भी इंफॉर्मेशन होनी चाहिए कितनी आप रॉ मटेरियल इन्वेंटरी रखना चाहते हो, स्टॉक रखना चाहते हो, एंड ऑल दैट ऑल्सो यू नीड टू हैव, राइट? एंड ऑल्सो एज आई टोल्ड यू हाउ मेनी यू आर गोइंग टू प्रोड्यूस, दैट इंफॉर्मेशन नीड टू हैव. परचेज बजट हेल्प यू टू रिड्यूसिंग द कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन एज इट मिनिमाइज अननेसेसरी परचेज बाय, लेट अस से इफ यू आर नॉट प्रोड्यूस like made purchase budget properly, or if you have not made, so then in that case you will randomly purchase. Sometime you will purchase excess, sometime you may purchase less, right? So in that case what situation may arise where if you have purchased in excess, तो आपका क्या, money will get stuck up. पैसा लगा दिया आपने, खरीद लिया, बट यूज नहीं हो रहा. यहाँ पर क्या हुआ, राइट? एंड लेट अस से इफ यू आर फॉलिंग शॉर्ट, तो प्रोडक्शन रुक सकती है आपकी. So that means if you have right falling short है, तो इसका मतलब production budget if you have prepared, then you have clear position of like how much money you are having in hand to purchase and how much you need additional money in order to, अगर आपने कुछ और purchase करना है, right? Let's try to understand with the help of an example. यहाँ पर आपको दिया for example your estimated cost of production, right, for the month of January. So situation is given for the January month 2015. कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन का मतलब ये है कि इतने यूनिट्स, द यूनिट्स दैट यू आर गोइंग टू प्रोड्यूस विल कॉस्ट यू दिस मच, राइट? जितने यूनिट्स आपने प्रोड्यूस करने हैं उसकी प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट कितनी है, इतनी. प्रोडक्शन कॉस्ट मतलब कॉस्ट ऑफ दोज लाइक मटेरियल कॉस्ट ऑफ दोज पर्टिकुलर, राइट? लेट अस से मैंने इफ आई हैव टू लेट अस से 1000 यूनिट्स बनाने हैं एंड फॉर दैट यू नीड ए रॉ मटेरियल जिसको रिक्वायरमेंट है. The raw material will cost you, let us say, $10 per unit. So $10 per unit multiplied by 1000 is going to be $10,000. So this is the basically production that you are going to do, right? So production kitni karni hai, that we have already seen in case of production budget. So based upon that you are going to decide that how much your cost is going to be there for that. This cost of production का यहाँ पर मतलब यही है sorry. At the end of the January, it is estimated that you will have a closing raw material this. अब बोलता है कि एट द एंड ऑफ द जनवरी आपको क्या है, रॉ मटेरियल क्लोजिंग कितना चाहिए, इतना $5,000 का चाहिए मटेरियल ये इन डॉलर टर्म्स और रुपीज टर्म में बात कर रहा है, राइट. सो इतना तो डेफिनेटली क्या है आपको प्रोडक्शन करनी थी, एंड दैट मच मटेरियल यू डेफिनेटली नीड टू हैव. एट द एंड ऑफ द मंथ इतना आप चाहते हो कि रॉ मटेरियल स्टॉक रहे, ये स्टॉक रहे. सो इफ आई आस्क यू हाउ मच you should have material you should go for is itni only up to this information. If you talk about, you say definitely I need to go for it, and at the same time you will say that at the end of the January I also need to have this much material, the material of this cost that you need to have at your end, additional material, right. ये तो जाएगा प्रोडक्शन करके बाहर निकल जाएगा, राइट, बट दिस मच इज आई ऑल्सो नीड टू हैव एज ए रॉ मटेरियल स्टॉक एट माई एंड at the end of January. इसका मतलब है I need to purchase this much, this plus this, तभी तो होगा. इतना और इतना परचेज करूंगा तो this will go for production, this will I will keep with myself. It is on the similar line we discuss as in case of this production budget. But एक और information दी है, at the beginning of January open raw material is $2,000. that means opening raw material, right. तो हुआ क्या, आपको शुरू में ही जनवरी के शुरू में, अब बात करते हैं जनवरी की, ऐसे मैं एक्सप्लेन कर देता हूं. आप चाहते हो कि जनवरी के शुरू में 2000 आपका, जब जनवरी शुरू हुआ और जनवरी एंड हुआ, जनवरी जब स्टार्ट हुआ तो यू हैड दिस मटेरियल ऑफ इतना मटेरियल था इतनी कॉस्ट का. एट द एंड ऑफ द जनवरी यू शुड हैव ए मटेरियल ऑफ व्हाट, $5,000. इतने का तो डॉलर का आपके पास होना ही चाहिए मटेरियल एज ए रॉ मटेरियल स्टॉक. तो इनिशियली इतना रॉ मटेरियल स्टॉक था. एट द एंड ऑफ द जनवरी यू शुड हैव रॉ मटेरियल स्टॉक ऑफ इतने $1,000. एट द सेम टाइम यू हैव टू परचेज अ मटेरियल फॉर द प्रोडक्शन ऑफ 10,000 यूनिट विच इज इक्वलेंट टू $10,000. तो हुआ क्या, व्हाट यू नीड टू परचेज $10,000 मटेरियल ऑफ $10,000. इतना आपको चाहिए, फिनिश गुड्स में होना चाहिए, साथ में पड़ा होना चाहिए, ये तो प्रोडक्शन करके चला जाएगा. व्हाट अबाउट दिस, ये दिस मच शुड बी एट योर इन्वेंट्री, स्टॉक में होना चाहिए एज ए रॉ मटेरियल. तो इसका मतलब है यू शुड परचेज फॉर हाउ मच, दिस प्लस दिस. बट एट द सेम टाइम आपके पास ऑलरेडी कितना है, ऑलरेडी ये स्टॉक जो हम बात कर रहे हैं जनवरी के एंड में हो, एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ जनवरी यू आर ऑलरेडी हैविंग $2,000. दैट मीन्स हाउ मच अमाउंट you need to purchase for this plus this minus this. इतने अमाउंट का मटेरियल परचेज करना पड़ेगा इन टर्म्स ऑफ, अगर हम करेंसी टर्म में बात करें, कितना मटेरियल परचेज करें, कितने का, दैट विल बी प्रॉपर वर्ड फॉर हाउ मच यू शुड परचेज. वी टॉकिंग इन टर्म्स ऑफ, सो estimated cost of production on the basis of production on the basis of production budget, how much material you are going to purchase, how many units you are going to purchase. For that units, if the cost of raw material is $10,000 that is available with you, add estimated cost closing stock कितना चाहते हो उस particular month के end में, या उस at the end of that particular period you want a closing stock of $5,000, and but already you are having a stock of what, estimated opening stock of raw material that you are already having is $2,000. so ये आपके पास already है, this you want at the end, this much in any case you have to purchase and send for the production. So this plus this minus this will be equal to 15,000 minus 2,000, $13,000. So this will be the value of the material purchase. The total material that you will purchase, raw material purchase that you are going to purchase should be of this value. तो ये क्या हो गया मेरा, this will be my material purchase budget, right? This is this is how, so you need to have a simple understanding, not complicated, like you don't have to become a CA. You are expected to know the different terminologies, basic understanding, right? And simple question will be framed, and simple understandings will be checked in this. So just go through all the different types of budget, meaning क्या है उनका, and basic जो हमने एक numerical basis पे whatever we have discussed, that will suffice for you to just attempt any particular question from this particular section. So so this covers your this budget portion also, different types of budget, and also in this portion I have also covered the variance section also. So that is all in this particular section. So in the next video I'm going to discuss the new topic with you. Till then, bye, thank you.